Now, after that, to our final segment of the programme, we've got a report from Cage. On Saturday, Cage completed their UK tour, Is It a Crime to Care? The final event was plagued by an accusation that Prevent had interfered with their chosen venue, the Water Lily in East London, led to a last-minute cancellation. I've been following the story. Here at this conference, at least 300 people have turned up at the end of 5 talks across the country. The question they're posing is it a crime to care? On Saturday night in East London, a UK tour organised by advocacy group Cage came to an end. The tour comes amid tensions within the British Muslim community on what they can and can't say when it comes to international battlefields and a demonisation of anyone who might speak up against Western foreign policy. The recent assault on Gaza, the civil war in Syria, and just as recently as yesterday, airstrikes in Syria by the US and other international allies, hitting targets outside of the realm of Islamic State. Here in Britain, the closure of bank accounts, the arrest of aid workers and Muslim mothers being asked to spy on their children has led to a distrust of government policy, especially when it comes under the name Prevent. The British Muslim community have felt silenced when it comes to questioning the government regarding its foreign policy for fear of being spied on or tagged under the label of extremism. Prevent is one of 4 elements of Contest, the British government's counter-terrorism strategy aiming to stop people becoming terrorists or supporting terrorism. The strategy aims to respond to ideological challenges, provide practical help, and work with sectors where there are risks of radicalisation that need to be dealt with. Advocacy group Cage, who recently had their bank accounts closed, say they have been targeted as a result of Prevent.
Since February, when Wazam Beg was arrested, our outreach director, we've come under significant pressure from the government in the shape of bank account closures of our accounts and also the accounts of our treasurer and a volunteer as well. We've been under investigation by the Charity Commission through our funders. Our funders have been investigated. We've also had some of our board members being investigated by their sort of respected bodies. One is a GP and one is a lawyer as well. So we've come under significant pressure. This reached a climax just last weekend when we had an event arranged in London, which was then attacked in some way by Prevent, and we actually had to change venue. We were originally going to do it at the Water Lily in Stepney Green, and we were forced to literally relocate underground to somewhere else in order to have the event.
Water Lily deny this. In an email they said to us, there was no booking from Cage at the venue for the 20th of September 2014. When the event was advertised, a member of staff contacted them stating that there was no booking. Cage replied that there was a copy error on the poster. The venue would like to state that there was no government pressure, nor was there any booking in the first place to be cancelled. Water Lily prides itself as being perceived as a neutral venue in the community, and as a venue we do not bow to any pressure, theological or political, with regards to legal activities at the venue. We put this to Cage.
That's news to me, totally. We had booked the event, and it appears that Prevent definitely were involved. I think the letter mentioned something about there was no pressure from the government. Well, Prevent aren't necessarily sitting in Parliament. They can be a member of the local authority or local police or whatever. So that doesn't deny that there was some sort of external involvement from Prevent to shut down our event. This is something which goes back. We have a long history of Prevent interfering with our events.
Yasmin Khatoon, The Report, Islam Channel. Now joining me to discuss some of what we saw in that report, Jahangir Mohammed, Chief Executive of Communica, and remaining with me, Sheikh Dr. Khalid Fikri. Now, Dr. Khalid, can I come to you? I mean, we've just seen the Prevent agenda coming to force, and also maybe not. Is it all blown out a little bit out of proportion, and are we sometimes just adding a little bit to the mix?
Really, I would like to be fair and just in this matter. For sure, Prevent had something that it had done with many Islamic organizations. I'm not sure about the recent event in your report, what happened exactly, but I was invited to this event, and I know that the place was booked, and there was plenty of shuyukh and imams who were invited. But how it was cancelled, I don't know exactly. But let me say again, we are not aware about what is extremism, what is hate preacher, what is radicalization. These words the government can use, or the media, or anybody, to accuse somebody, this man is an extremist, he is a hate preacher. How can you say something like this? Or how can you label an imam when he speaks?
And you've experienced this yourself, right?
Yes, I would like to say that I have been prevented, maybe by Prevent or others, from such some events that I was invited to, and just I got a phone call from the organizer, Sheikh, we are sorry, we have to cancel the event. Why? What's the reason? Some, alhamdulillah, some organizations, they said, we will do the event, and we know that they have no reasons at all to ban you. And this is not for me only. There are more than, if you remember, in December 2013, it was in the media that there will be 25 hate preach imams whom will be stopped and banned from talking and speaking. Alhamdulillah, thank God that it didn't come to force. And I wish that the government will review again. As we are, as imams here, we can address to the mainstream of the people. We talk and we know what we are talking about. We are against any extremist. And in the same time, we are very strict regarding our deen, our religion. We are calling for Islam. So you have to accept our point of views when we talk to our Muslim community regarding the Islamic issue. The government should give us more and more platform and free so that we can talk. And alhamdulillah, the people trust us. And I would like to say that some organizations which belongs to the government have no credibility at all, as Prevent, as Quilliam, and others of these organizations.
Jahangir, can I bring you in here? Now, Prevent, over the last few years, has had a number of different things. I know we saw in there with Muslim mothers being asked to spy on their children, with aid workers. There are so many different things going on, but sometimes are we getting a little bit too ahead of ourselves?
No, not really. I think the evidence from the community is that actually a lot more is going on than is reported, because people are simply too afraid to talk openly about what's going on the ground. We know that 4,000 people have been referred under the Channel program in education and health, and many of these are youngsters. So it's not just a myth. And you know, I'm not sure what's happened exactly with the Cage event, but we know from other parts of the country, and I deal with organizations all the time, who have had pressure put on them and events cancelled. And actually, it's very difficult as a Muslim to book a venue for any event without either the community centre or the venue or the university getting pressure from different quarters, or from the Charity Commission asking questions about the speakers. It's actually very difficult to arrange an event with where the topic is Islamic or international or political at the moment. It's very, very difficult. We see it all the time. It's not unusual. It's actually very, very common.
One of the points that were being made was that this Prevent strategy is so entrenched within the community that we can't always see it.
No, it's a secretive policy, but it's everywhere. It's actually, if you read the Cage report, Prevent Cradle to Grave police state for Muslims, that's actually what it is. The Prevent policy is the single biggest policy affecting Muslims since the Spanish Inquisition almost. And it's certainly a bigger program than McCarthyism in the 1930s. It affects every aspect of Muslim life, from your childhood to even the prison. And, they're extending it all the time. They want to extend it to nursery and even opticians. So, the scope is there. It's just that it's hidden in terms of policy and in terms of how it operates, and lack of due process and how you can challenge it. but many Muslims are being affected up and down the country. I talk to organizations, I advise organizations, and I talk to individuals who had terrible experiences with this whole policy. And then, many of them, their lives have been ruined. They can't get jobs again. Their organizations are crippled. They're effectively not able to operate in this country. So the policy is there, and it's having a major impact on the Muslim community.
Sheikh Khalid, can I bring you in here? I know Jahangir just mentioned opticians, nurseries. Yes. We've heard about all of these different things. You mentioned yourself a number of different groups that might be working with preventive. You've got all of these different organisations, and one of the points that the Prevent strategy they do mention is that they want to work with different organisations within and outside of the community. How can the Muslim community then tackle this, or what do they need to be doing?
Really, again, I think since the killing of Lee Rigby, the murder of Lee Rigby, and the government, as if it wants to punish the whole Muslim community. Task force and then Prevent and other policies which make more and more strict laws against the Islamic organizations, as well as the Charity Commission becoming involved in everything, in every single mosque and every single charity. I wish that the freedom which we have been having in this country continue. And you shouldn't target the whole Muslim community with such things that will make the dealing with the Muslims become more and more hard and harsh. We still, with the mainstream of the Muslims living peacefully, and the people want to live more and more in peace in this country, they are following the law. We are not calling for any hatred or violence within this society and this community which we live. And we are happy with the freedom which we still feel, and England is still one of the best countries for the Muslims in the whole Europe. So what I would like to say again, leave the organization's work. Everything is open and everything is very clear. And since there is nothing hidden, leave them and be sure that the Muslims are participating and doing the best so that they can live in a way that nothing can harm the whole society and the whole community.
Jahangir, can I bring you in here? Now, one of the things that the tour around the UK that Cage were holding, that was around, is it a crime to care? Has it become a crime to care? Jahangir, can you hear me?
It's certainly, yeah, I can hear you. It's certainly become more and more difficult for Muslims to show their care and to provide care to Muslims around the world. Charities are now more prone to being investigated if they're working in areas like Syria or other conflict zones, and lots of questions are asked, even if they have speakers from this country on their platform, they get a lot of questions. So it's actually become very difficult for Muslims to work freely in this country. And we know that bank accounts are being frozen as well. So the whole climate has made it very difficult, unless you are a Muslim that in effect doesn't follow any Islamic activity or do anything apart from support the government agenda. The pressures that are on you and the extra burdens are being placed on you, the paperwork that you have to do, the risk assessments that you have to do, it's almost become, full of red tape for Muslims, and that makes it very difficult for people to operate. I've had talked to many charities, new charities, who think, who say to me, why bother? Let's just close this down. They're just making it so difficult for us to do anything. If you want to take money overseas, your money gets seized at the border, even if you're a registered charity. So a lot of things are happening which we need to put in the public domain and campaign against the operation of Prevent.
Okay, well, on that note, we are going to have to round up. That's all we have time for in this episode of the report. I want to thank all of our guests and, of course, Dr. Khalid Fikri for joining us today on the programme. And thank you at home for watching. Remember, you can keep up with our Twitter conversation by following us on @IslamChannel and @IslamChannelCA using #TheReport. We're back tomorrow evening, but at the same time. But for now, we'll leave you with some footage of clashes between Palestinians and Israeli police inside Al-Aqsa Mosque earlier today. Israeli police said Israeli security forces fired stun grenades to enforce law and order inside the compound. And Palestinians said clashes started after dozens of Jewish worshippers entered the mosque ahead of the Hebrew New Year, which starts today. 15 people suffered minor injuries.